I'd say one of the main aspects of the philosophy that I'm developing around art is that it just disregards the obsession with explaining what happens in the mind, whether materially like Daniel Dennett or logically or rationally like Kant or Hegel, and instead just focuses on the exchange between people and the influence that exchange has on either small networks or large networks, small environments or large environments. And that's not because I don't find explanations of what happens in the mind really important or really interesting. I mean, I'm obsessed with it. However, I think that it's really efficient to create a system for artists that just completely ignores that. And it's also important. The whole importance of what happens in the mind is how what happens in the mind changes and interacts with what's outside of the mind. And that's why Kant is interesting to me, because he notices that. That's the point, the whole point of his stuff to me. But I see it visually, like where he sees it in language. I see it as like, and I just keep seeing, like my little diagram that I'm doing where it's like artist and what happens when there's all this stuff going on in the mind. We don't really care about that. What happens when it becomes external and then it gets passed to somebody else? It becomes an art object, and we're just like passing around these things, and they're always changing. And very importantly, they're not in a hierarchy of importance. As far as like, there's a lot of assumptions about this, like the primariness of human thinking and the human mind. And, of course we love ourselves. And none of this is anything new, I don't think. But things don't get lesser as we portray them. And my idea, we are just the same as our whole grand self-narratives and minds and consciousness. And, this like brilliant experience of being me is just the exact same level of importance as an art object. We both, me and the art object, have the same potential at any given moment to influence the environment, to influence another. So we don't assume that anything, whether it's an event or a person or an art object, has any more influence than anything else. It all is just a matter of circumstance. Which thing is going to push another thing in a given setting? And philosophy, in this sense, art philosophy, is literally just like watching a sports game and talking about it and laughing about it and being like, oh, what's going to happen next? But really paying close attention to what happens in the exchange. Not assuming anything. It's fun. It's dynamic. It's totally without hierarchy. And I'm not saying that's going to get interpreted as like me saying that there's no hierarchy of influence or power. And that is not true. Some things are definitely going to be more influential than other things. But I'm talking about in the moment, the dynamic moment in an environment with artist, others, phenomena, art object, those all have equal potential to influence, to have power. Now, at the end of the event, at the end of the moment, when the power has been meted out, then we can see which thing was the most impactful. And then in my system, the power is essentially like affect in within the mind, which also we just take for granted. It's like, well, I don't know what that is, but some people have written about it. I like Brian Masumi, but like, and that's what's powerful, not follower counts. I don't care what's real and what's not real. I'm not saying that some things are real and some things aren't real. I'm just saying I'm setting aside that question. I don't care. All I know is I'm here in this thing, in this experience. I have this intuition. And this, not just an intuition, like an experience that some things are really important. And I'm just going to watch this game, I'm thinking of it as a game because it's I'm thinking of the art and the thought and the whatever it is just being passed. It's passed around. It's passed from the things I look at or get inspired by to me. Then whatever happens in the mind, I don't know, let's just not talk about it, happens. I put something out based on that. And that thing exists now in the external environment. Another person sees it. It affects them. They do something. It affects another. And it's just this passing around of something. The super important thing. That's what has influence. That's what power is. And power is inside, within. The person is where it's kindled, generated, like urine or shit or a kidney stone. We build up stuff inside of us. I think it's like that, maybe. And then we just pass it around. But it gets bigger instead of deteriorating.